Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Stomp This Way. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Are you excited to be here this week?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, today we are reviewing a film. Honestly, I didn't know what to title this week's episode because there are two names that this film goes by, and they are both pretty commonly used, and just depending on what site you go to, it kind of determines what title you see. So I decided that whatever title came up on the actual title card in the movie is what I would title the episode. So today we are reviewing the Trollenberg Terror, or if you go by some alternate titles, the title I think I had said last week is the U.S. title, The Crawling Eye.
Ooh.
Yeah, so apparently, and I'll get into some of this later, the movie is a British film, and it was filmed as the Trollenberg Terror. But when they brought it over to the U.S. and did their U.S. edit, they retitled it The Crawling Eye. Well, the U.S. edit actually came out before its British theatrical release.
That
so it actually came out
opposite.
as The Crawling Eye first, and then came out in Britain as the Trollenberg Terror. But anyway, there's another alternate U.S. title called Creatures from Another World.
Which works.
I guess also is a title. But anyway, you want to get into some production trivia?
Sure.
Well, this is based on a British Saturday serial TV program. And apparently they had a few episodes over this kind of Trollenberg Terror thing. And then they decided to adapt it into a movie.
Oh.
It was released on a double bill with The Strange World of Planet X, which was retitled as Cosmic Monsters when they brought it over for its U.S. release. See, that's funny because those are both like Planet X is from a Godzilla movie, and then Cosmic Monsters, they retitled Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. The U.S. title was Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster.
They like cosmic.
And they like cosmic. It sounds exotic, I guess. Ooh. This was the final film shot at Southall Studios, one of the oldest UK film studios. So very sad. One of the final films released by Distributors Corporation of America. So very sad.
Yes.
John Carpenter has said that this is one of his inspirations for The Fog, I guess when the monsters are coming out of the cloud or whatever.
Yeah.
It is also referenced in the novel It, and Pennywise even takes the form of the creature at one point. So,
wow.
There you go. And it is featured on MST3K as their first episode after they moved from KTMA to the Comedy Channel. The MST3K version was on Prime.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we are professionals. We're going to watch the original version. In fact, like I said, there are two cuts of this movie. There's, well, we watched the Trollenberg Terror, which is 84 minutes. The US release was actually cut down to like 67 minutes, which is because we were going to watch it, like if we searched it on our Fire TV and it only came up on Fossum.
Yeah.
And the Fossum version is the American edit. It's only 67 minutes. because they were like, it takes way too long to get to the monsters, so we're gonna cut some out of this movie. Which honestly, we'll talk about it. Probably the right instinct, but anyway. So we actually ended up watching it on just a YouTube. Someone had just uploaded a copy of it on YouTube. A very good
Copy.
Transfer of the film, so we're grateful for that. So we watched it for free and limited ad interruptions, unlike Boston, where we'd have had half an hour of ads to go with it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, Andrew, any box office?
We have a little bit, not much.
Mm-hmm.
It was released July 7th,
Mm-hmm.
1958 in the U.S.
Yeah.
And released October 7th, 1958 in the U.K.
Yep. I don't know how much money it made or how much money it cost to make. All I know is it cost more to make than those Roger Corman movies. But
oh, yeah. You can
but,
actually tell what the monster was.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, let's listen to a trailer and then we'll come back and we'll talk all about the cast and the crew, the plot summary, and all things about the Trollenberg Terror.
Ooh.
Or the Crawling Guy, whatever you want to call it. See you in a bit.
This alarm fills the night with terror. For high on a mountainside, a mysterious force of evil that fears such as no human being has ever seen before.
Where there are mountains, there are always clouds.
But this one remains static. On the side of the Trollenberg, it never moves.
Freak of nature.
A radioactive freak of nature?
It strikes without warning, wreaking death and destruction too horrible to behold. A force of evil that tortures its victims and hurls them mercilessly to the brink of murder and madness. What is it, and what does it crave, this creeping horror that hungers and thrives on human flesh, while it inhabits its own silent world that no man can penetrate? No one is safe from its spell of destruction, a cold, hypnotic stare striking fear into the hearts of all, creating a frenzied nightmare for those who behold it.
The cloud is splitting up.
Splitting up.
There are 4 of them now, and all moving this way.
All right, listeners, there it was. That trailer was cut a little weird.
Yeah, at the beginning.
I think a frame or two was missing there. But anyway, cast and crew. This was directed by Quentin Lawrence, written by Jimmy Sangster, music by Stanley Black, effects by Les Bowie, and starring Forrest Tucker, Lawrence Payne, and Jennifer Jane. Jane. And the plot is more or less as follows. When UN investigator Alan Brooks arrives in a remote village on Mount Trollenberg with Sarah Pilgrim and her telepathic sister Anne, a string of bizarre events begins to unfold. Anne inexplicably knows intimate details about a series of recent disappearances, knowledge she has no way of possessing. Brooks' colleague, Professor Crevitt, who works at the mountain observatory, reveals that a strange, stationary, radioactive cloud has settled over the area. When geologists Dewhurst and Brett travel to a mountain cabin to investigate, Anne psychically witnesses their gruesome fate. Brooks and a search party later discover Dewhurst's decapitated body, while Brett has vanished. Though soon spotted by an airplane, Brett reappears as something no longer human, violently killing members of the search party before returning to the hotel and attempting to murder Anne. Though subdued by a blow to the head, he shows no signs of bleeding. Reviving later, Brett makes a second attempt on Anne's life before Brooks shoots and kills him. As the radioactive cloud begins descending toward the village, Brooks and the others organize an evacuation to the observatory. During the retreat, Brooks comes face to face with one of the cloud's inhabitants, a massive, tentacled, eyeball-like creature. Once inside the observatory, the group is besieged by multiple creatures emerging from the cloud. Using improvised Molotov cocktails, Brooks and the others fend off the attack until a bomber arrives, firebombing the creatures into smoldering remains. With the threat seemingly neutralized, Brooks assures the villagers it is safe to return home. In the aftermath, Anne appears to spark a budding romance with reporter Philip as the story comes to a close. More or less.
More or less.
More or less the plot of the movie. Yeah, so did you know anything about this movie going in?
No.
I didn't either, except
I
it had
didn't even know it existed.
except it had two names because I had Googled it. But yeah, so this is a 1950s, atomic bee monster movie, right?
Yeah.
Also sort of an alien invasion movie,
Yeah.
merging the two. And yeah, it's actually a British movie, but it stars an American. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it starts with these guys on a mountain hike on Mount Trollenberg, I assume. And they see a strange cloud.
One of them sees a strange.
And one of them climbs up to the peak to get a look at something.
Mm-hmm.
And he hear him screaming. And then he had a rope tied around him. So they, go up to look. And they scream.
One of them screams.
And then his body kind of falls off.
One of them screams and lets go, and the other guy couldn't hold on anymore.
Yeah. And
The rope breaks.
the rope breaks. And he's like,
Why didn't he hold on? We almost had him. His head was gone.
his head was gone. And that's our cold open. And then we cut to a train. And on this train are two sisters. Their names are Sarah and Anne. And we'll learn quite a bit later. They're like a mind reading act.
Mm-hmm.
So they travel around and do a mind reading stunt and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're in the same train car as Alan Brooks, who we'll also learn later is some kind of UN investigator
Yeah.
or something of some sort. He works for the UN.
Mm-hmm.
But he's coming to Trollenberg to visit his friend at the observatory. He's being summoned by his friend at the observatory. And on the train, though, they're going to Geneva. Sarah and Anne are.
Yeah.
And Anne sees Mount Trollenberg out the window and has this psychic experience. And she somehow knows about people disappearing and stuff. And then
And she's like, we need to stop here.
yeah. And Sarah's like, no, we're going to Geneva. And anyway, she passes out. And anyway, they decide to get off the train in Trollenberg. Yeah. And so then we're going to go to the hotel. Nobody's coming. This is like a resort place, a seasonal skiing place, I guess. And the resort has openings because...
Well, it's not a skiing place. It's a mountain hiking place.
I'm sure they do skiing. But anyway... But the resort has vacancies because this is their normal busy season. But because there's been disappearances, people aren't coming into town like normal. So, they all get up at the hotel. And a lot of this movie is going to take place at the hotel. Mostly the hotel and the observatory. And we go to the observatory. There's this guy at the hotel. I didn't mention him until the very end of my plot summary. But he's kind of following Alan around and acting suspicious, and he's listening in on Alan's phone calls. But Alan is going to go to the observatory and meet his old friend, Dr. Krevitt, who's a German scientist or something. And they're in the Swiss Alps. Maybe he's
I don't think he's
Swiss. But anyway, and he starts telling him all about this strange static cloud that's nestled on the side of Mount Trollenberg, and it's radioactive. And they pay some lip service about some stuff that happened in the Andes or something.
Yeah, the Andes Mountains.
And everybody thought they were crackpots or something. And it was never explained. But anyway, yeah. How you feeling about the first 10 to 15 minutes of this movie?
I think it's fine.
I think it has a good opening. It's got a good attention grabber.
Yeah.
With the guy getting, beheaded, even though you don't see most of it. The guy getting beheaded and then falling off the mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a long time before we see any actual monsters or really anything of note happens. He goes to the observatory, talks to the guy. And then there's these two that come in. What I say their names were? Dewhurst and Brett, and Dewhurst at least is a geologist. I don't remember what Brett was, but anyway, they've come to investigate the disappearances and I guess to see if
Brett was his guide.
Oh, Brett was his guide. Okay.
Yeah.
And to see if, I guess Dewhurst is there to see if the geology has anything to do with the disappearances or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how rocks are beheading people, but, is what it is. But so they're going to hike up to this cabin. It's like a 3-hour hike up the mountain.
Yeah.
And they go up there. And meanwhile, Anne and Sarah put on this little demonstration for all the people at the hotel where like Sarah will like touch something behind a curtain or whatever, something that Anne can't see.
Yeah.
And Anne will be able to describe it in detail and all this. But the guys at the cabin, Brett had got like possessed or whatever and walked out. And then Anne starts having this psychic episode where she like sees all of this unfolding.
Yeah.
And they call up to the cabin and Dewhurst is like, oh, well, Brett's missing. He didn't notice the door wide open first thing and the cold coming in, but whatever. Because at first he's like, no, everything's normal here. And he's like, wait, Brett's gone. But anyway. And then something comes in the cabin and kills Dewhurst, though we don't see what it is.
Yeah.
And that's probably about half an hour into the movie or so.
Yeah.
And then we go a little bit longer and they go out on a search party to find Dewhurst and Brett. And they find Dewhurst's head decapitated, right? But then an airplane spots Brett and a couple of nameless search party members go to get him and he kills them. Meanwhile, Anne is like possessed. And she's like, she keeps like trying to go up the mountain to the cloud, but everybody's like, no, why don't you come this way?
Yeah.
Why don't you come to the observatory?
At least they're smart.
Yeah, at least they don't let this chick like go wandering off by herself. But anyway, later that night, they're all back at the hotel, and Brett stumbles into the hotel. And, he's acting weird. He can't seem to. He's like shaking. He can't seem. His motor functions are a little off.
It's uncoordinated.
Yeah. And he's drinking, and then Anne comes downstairs, and he immediately like pulls out a knife and goes after her, but then they like tackle him, and his head hits the table or something, but he doesn't bleed. And so they go and stick his body in they lock his body up in a room or something. But
where they stitch him up and all that.
And of course he's gonna come back to life and break out of his holding cell and go up to. They keep leaving this poor woman by her. I guess her sister was with her.
Yeah.
And he breaks into the hotel room, and Sarah just like goes running out of the room and keeps knocking on Brooke's room while her sister's getting attacked in the other room. And finally,
to be fair, she would probably not do anything.
I mean, I don't physically, she probably couldn't have done anything, but Brooks finally gets up and comes in and shoots him. And now he's dead. It was funny, like when he got resurrected, like, he was doing like the Popeye phase because he had like one eye squinting the whole time and the other eye was like wide open the whole time. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so we're getting a little bit of action.
Yeah.
No real alien action. There's some mystery about what's happened to Brett and everything. I'm still kind of bored. I'm watching. I'm looking at my watch, looking at the clock. I'm like, I thought there were supposed to be giant eyeballs in this. Maybe this was a bad selection for the podcast. But eventually, we'll learn that Philip was like a reporter, the weirdo guy. I thought he was going to be like a villain, but he's like a reporter, and he was covering the Andes incident, where we'll learn that there was this old psychic woman in, where was it, Venezuela or something, or Chile, wherever they were. And
wherever the Andes Mountains is.
Yeah, I think mostly run along Chile, but anyway, and he tells a story about how this guy like attacked and killed this old woman.
Yeah.
But when they locked him up, but he like I don't know, didn't bleed or anything. So now they're guessing that Anne, because she's psychic, is a threat to the aliens.
Yeah, because she can see them coming.
So she can see them coming, even though like at this point they're revealing all their tricks trying to kill her. So I don't know if they're doing themselves any favors, but they're trying to kill Anne because she's psychic and she can see them or whatever. And anyway, so what happens next, Andrew? The cloud starts to move, descend upon the village.
Yeah, descend upon the town.
And so they all decide. See, it was kind of funny to me because I was like, so instead of like leaving town on a train or something, they're all going to get on a cable car and go up the mountain.
The mist was blocking the exits of the town.
Okay. But they're going to get on they're going to get on a cable car and go up the mountain and trap themselves in this observatory.
That's why when that one guy tried to get away in his car, he came back.
Yeah, there's this other guy. I didn't mention him in my plot summary, but what was his name? Hans or Hans? Hans, I think. Anyway, he was the guy that always wore the toboggan or whatever. And he takes one of the cars and tries to get out, but the roads are blocked. And he'll come back possessed later after everybody, like it tries to like freeze the cable carts, but like the cable cart stops a couple times, but they end up getting to the
because it's built to withstand extreme temperature.
Yeah. Because there was a thing earlier where like at the cabin, the phone lines had been frozen so hard that they had shattered or whatever. But anyway, they get to the observatory and, but not before. As the cloud's coming into town, there's this little girl that goes running off. Yeah. And Alan has to go grab her. And finally, 66 minutes into an 84-minute movie, he opens that door and we finally see a giant eyeball staring back at him. And some tentacles come at him and everything. But they get away and they go up to the observatory. And then the cloud splits up into 5 different monsters. And they come up the mountain, and we finally get some good wide shots of the creatures. And they start attacking the observatory. So they get some Molotov cocktails, and he's like, "Let's throw these at him and see what happens."
Because they don't like
they're cold weather aliens.
Because every time when the people that were possessed came in, they complained about how hot it was.
Yeah. And Hans has come in at this point and tried to kill Anne again, and so they had to wrestle him and stab him and kill him. But anyway, so they go outside and throw some cocktails, but Philip gets grabbed at one point, but Brooks goes out there and throws a cocktail at the creature, and they all get back inside. So he calls in the UN and is like, hey, we need to firebomb the observatory.
Yeah.
And is like, what? But now, to be fair, because you made the comment, like, you want to bomb the place you're hiding.
Yeah.
Now, firebombing, traditionally, is when you use, like, incendiary devices that are more designed to burn things than they are to have, like, a strong blast. Now, it isn't portrayed very well on film because when they cut to the bombers dropping bombs, they're dropping like heavy payload bombs. But anyway, so these UN bomb. I don't think the UN itself has bombers. They either have to be from some country, but whatever. Generic UN bombers come in, carpet bomb the observatory, and kill the aliens. And then later, Brooks is like, tell the villagers they can go home. And then I guess Anne and Philip are now an item, even though like there was no romantic like scene or subplot or anything leading up to it. It's just like, we're at the end. Here it is. I don't know if Sarah is supposed to be having a crush on Alan or not. It's kind of funny because at one point, Philip is like calling into his paper or whatever to get the scoop on Alan. And he's like, American, about 40. And I'm like, Alan is not a day under 50, but and Sarah is a lot younger than he is. But I don't know. They don't develop it enough to make me feel like it's going one way or the other. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the movie. Yeah. I will say, maybe not the best selection for our monster podcast. Like I said, it is over an hour into the movie.
We've done many of these where it's over an hour.
We've done a lot where it takes a while to get to the monster, but it is over an hour into the movie before the monster shows up. And like I said, it's not a long movie. It's even the original cut is 84 minutes.
Yeah.
I would have kind of been interested to see the 67-minute cut, but
because they're not. I don't know what they could have cut out to make it actually.
I'm sure they cut it all out before the monster shows up, which, like I said, there's a lot to cut. I definitely think, I mean, it's a slog. That first hour is an absolute slog. After that cold open or whatever, where the guy gets beheaded, I mean, they've got some kind of intriguing stuff with like Brett getting possessed and a couple people like off screen get beheaded or whatever. But it is an absolute slog, and I was struggling to stay focused on the movie for that first hour. Now, once the creature shows up, I think it's a decent 50s B movie. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, they say some silly things like, let's throw these at him and see what happens, or
let's bomb them.
Let's firebomb the observatory. And, the creatures with their tentacles and all that, and the cable car getting stuck and stopping starting, and getting the people getting grabbed by the tentacles and all that. I mean, there's fun 50s B movie stuff there. People trying to kill Anne and all that. Once you get to the good part, which is like literally the last 20 minutes of the movie. But like I said, yeah, that first hour is a slog. Now it's a professional movie. It's not like one of those Corman movies where it feels like, Corman hired
random people,
a handful of Slovakians to rent a camera and go film a movie or whatever. Like they I don't know if he ever filmed a movie in Slovakia, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's actually a professional production with real actors. The acting's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't ask to do a whole lot, but like they're professional actors. They know what they're doing. The production design is pretty solid and all that. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slog. You gonna get to creature design?
Sure. I think the creature design is pretty, unique.
Yeah, I don't mind the creature design. I mean, they're called the crawling eyes. Now they do have like an eye, like a
One
cyclops
big
eye.
eye.
And but their whole body does kind of look like a bulging, like
almost brainish
brain mass or something. Yeah. And then they've got the tentacles and stuff. For a 50s B flick, I thought the creatures looked fine. I mean, they're cheesy, and just especially when they move across the ground or whatever. I mean, kind of cheesy, but I don't have any major complaints with the design of the monster. I like the basic design, the tentacles. Now, there's a clear difference in the tentacles and like the wide shots of the monsters, and then like the tentacles that are like they're using to like wrap around the actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Look more like vines or something. But no, I thought the creature design was fine.
Yeah.
Worked perfectly well. And then the effects, I mean, like I said, the monsters are kind of cheesy in the way they move and stuff, but I think the effects are fine. They actually build a couple of miniatures. Like there's a couple of miniatures like the village is like a set of like 2 miniature buildings.
Yeah.
But they do like turn on the fog machine, and it's kind of neat how like the fog rolls in and stuff like that. They built a miniature for the observatory to have the creatures crawl over and for them to firebomb and do all that stuff. And I think that looks pretty good. There is a lot, the cinematography is pretty good. There is a lot of wide shots of actual mountains and like people hiking up the rocks and stuff like that. So they actually filmed this like very good location scouting, filmed like, I don't know if they actually filmed it in the Swiss Alps, but it looks like it. They are like, at least the exterior shots, it looks like it. It looks good. But, Mount Trollenberg itself is a matte painting. It's a good matte painting, but it's a matte painting. You can tell. They do, sometimes matte some characters onto a static background of the mountains or whatever. And I mean, it doesn't look
terrible.
bad or anything, but you can tell it's a matting shot. You can tell they're
Yeah.
superimposed on the mountains or whatever.
But, you know, it's 50s, you know. They
But-
can't, they don't have the best technology.
I mean, yeah, for a 50s movie, it doesn't really look that bad. So yeah, overall, I thought the production values and the effects like were pretty good. I mean, I don't have any. I mean, you can tell it's a 50s B movie, but I don't have any major complaints. There weren't any scenes where I was like, "Oh, that just looked absolutely terrible" or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And then the score, I mean, pretty generic 50s movie monster score. Nothing special, memorable, really. But yeah, you want to do some final thoughts?
Sure.
Why don't you go for it?
Like we said, you know, it's not the worst movie ever. It's probably better than most of the movies we've been watching here recently. Honestly. But you know, that's not saying much.
No.
It doesn't take a lot to go over a Roger Corman film. To beat a Roger Corman.
No, it doesn't.
You know, the score in this, like I said, is really good. The acting in this, they do pretty good. The acting, they're professionals. They know what they're doing, at least.
Yeah.
And the monsters, I think the monsters look pretty cool. They're just a big eye and a brain
Yeah.
with tentacles.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Tentacles.
And, you know, I think I'll give this movie, I'll give it a solid C.
Really? Wow. Yeah, if I was just reviewing like the last 20 minutes, I'd say this is a pretty fun creature feature movie from the 50s. Unfortunately, that first hour is a real slog. I mean, a real slog. It is painfully slow, and I'm just waiting for the monsters to show up. And yeah, like I said, once things actually finally kick into gear over an hour into the movie, it's a solid 50s B movie. The creatures are cool. The actors are pretty good. You know, there's some cheesy 50s B movie lines that you would expect and effects, and they have some fun with some miniatures and firebombing the creatures and some tentacles picking people up and Molotov cocktails. Never can go wrong there. They got a fog machine working overtime.
Yeah.
Love all that. The production values aren't terrible relative, especially to some movies we've been watching. But yeah, that first hour is really a slog. The characters are cardboard. They are making some dumb decisions and just not a lot happening. The movie takes place in really 2 locations for the most part. 3, I guess, if you count the cabin. So, same 2 or 3 sets we see over and over. So yeah, I'm not gonna be nearly as kind as you are. I'm gonna give it like a D, because that first hour is just such a laborious effort to get through. But it's not the worst movie we've ever seen by any stretch. So, and we got to watch it for free on YouTube. So who am I to complain? But anyway, I don't really have much in the way of news. There is they've been teasing an official Godzilla Lego set, which would be the first of its kind. I think Mega Bloks has done a couple of like MonsterVerse related Godzilla things, but an official Godzilla Lego set could be coming soon.
Ooh.
My Godzilla popcorn bucket that I ordered from Alamo has been shipped.
Ooh.
It should be here soon, so I'll start eating popcorn at night out of my Godzilla popcorn head. So there's that. But otherwise, we'll be moving into April. So do you know what we got coming up for our schedule in April?
Nothing good.
Hey. No, we've got some good stuff. We're actually going to be doing a bit of dinosaurs. Next week, we're going back to Ray Harryhausen. We're going to be doing a bit of a dinosaur. We're going to be doing a bit of a cult classic, I think, The Valley of Gwangi. I think that's how you say it. But it's a Harryhausen classic. So I thought we'd about done all of Harryhausen's movies, but I was wrong. There are more.
There are more.
So we'll be doing that. I've seen some clips from it. It definitely looks interesting. I'm excited to watch it. And the following week will be Kong's. Monday will be Kong's birthday. So Tuesday will be Kong's birthday. So that Wednesday we'll be releasing an episode over the animated musical, The Mighty Kong. And then a couple more dinosaur movies, 1 million BC and its remake, 1 million years BC. And then we'll be closing out April as we get into our creature feature summer with Grizzly.
Ooh.
So look forward to all of that. But anyway, Andrew, you got anything else?
I think that's pretty much all this week.
All right. Well, don't forget that we have another podcast up and running. It is Pulse Check, a horror movie podcast where we review horror movies. So we got some fun zombie stuff coming up there. So look forward to next month on that as well. But as far as this podcast goes, don't forget that you can always contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
And you can find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, all at Stomp This Way. And of course, you can find all this information in the show notes below as well. And next week will be the Valley of Gwangi. So check that out and listen to us talk about it next week. But other than that, as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you next time.